Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the University of Northern Colorado. Thank you for joining us for our fourth UNC Talks session of 2016. My name is Erwin Raimundo, and I am the Graduate Assistant for the Office of Enrollment Management and Student Access. Tonight, we will revisit a very important topic for all college students, financial aid. Now, typically, I just introduce our guest panelists, but tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. Joining us tonight and answering your questions from the Office of Financial Aid are three guest panelists. They are the Associate Director, Jamming James Broscheid, the Coordinator of Financial Aid, Jolting Jill Connor, and the student wonder himself, Stephen Size. James, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Erwin. I appreciate that. My name is James Broscheid. I'm Associate Director here at UNC in Financial Aid. I've been doing financial aid for it's 30 years now. So we are here to help. That's what we like doing. And it's a great thing. And we love being able to help you guys. So please throw the questions.
And I'm Jill Connor. I am the Coordinator of Processing and Verification in the Office of Financial Aid. I have been doing this for 15 years, helping students. I started as a work study student myself and loved it so much I kept doing it. So while I'm half as experienced as James, I'm not half his age. So go ahead, Stephen.
My name is Stephen Size, and I'm a current student here at UNC. I'm a senior, and I've been in the office for 4 years here at UNC. And I love helping new students navigate their way through financial aid.
Thank you all for introducing yourself to all our viewers tonight. That intro was assisted by Marty Samaro, Marty the Magician. I think you all know him quite well. Looks like we're getting some questions come in. So the first one's going to be for James, or I'm sorry, Jolting James, Jamming James maybe. I know that UNC extended the priority deadline to March 31st. Is it too late to apply for financial aid?
No, it's not too late to apply for financial aid. The March 1st date typically, and then the extension this year to March 31st is a preferential filing date. And we use that to award funds that have limited availability in them. But financial aid is available certainly and most predominantly in the federal programs from now really until almost the week before you would finish classes. The application is open and you are able to apply. Now that similar thing works for the FAFSA and both for the Universal Scholarship application. Both have preferential deadlines, but we encourage you every year to at least do those on time, but at least any time that you're out there and doing those things, you can do those at any time.
Thanks, James. So I guess all our viewers who haven't filed their FAFSA or filed the universal application or scholarship application can go ahead and still do that. So yeah, there are still funds out there, and thank you for sharing all that information. Our next question will be for Stephen. What is this FSA ID, and why do I need one before I file the FAFSA?
So the FSA ID took place of your PIN number if you're a returning student. Your FSA ID is the way you will log into FAFSA and also how you will sign the FAFSA once you've completed the FAFSA. Your parents are going to need one if you're a dependent student, and then you're going to need one as well. And it takes place of your 4-digit PIN number.
Okay, so since we removed the PIN, which mine was 1248 for all the viewers out there, we'll have to create one every year.
Sorry about that. We're good.
So once you create your FSA ID, that'll be your ID for the next over so many years. It's going to be the same username and same password every year.
Now, Stephen, just a follow-up to that, a lot of questions that I'm asked when I'm working OFA or Destination or Discover UNC is that what type of information will be required on this new FSA ID?
So initially, it may be a hassle for the first time. You're going to have to enter your social. There's going to be general information. However, and then there's going to be about 4 or 5 security questions to create your actual ID. Once that 10, 12-minute initial process is set up, you'll then have your ID, and you just have to create a password, and then you'll be able to complete your FAFSA.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that. Our next question will go to James. This viewer asks, I submitted my FAFSA on March 31st. When will I receive my award letter?
It's not an easy answer all the time. Your award letter could come out in as early as a couple days, or it could take a little bit longer depending on what other requirements are there. Once you do your FAFSA, you have a process that you may fall into called verification, which we'll probably talk about a little later. But look, what we encourage you to do at that point is to get in touch with your URSA tab, look for financial aid requirements, things that you have to turn in, things that are outstanding. And once all those things are in, we award you. And we award throughout the calendar year, so it shouldn't take you too long to get an award. And if you haven't seen one, we certainly encourage you to call.
All right, thank you, James. And that number to call is 970-351-2502, correct?
That is correct. And you can also reach us at our SFR email account.
Thanks, James. This next question will go over to Jill. This viewer asks, okay, I logged into my URSA account and I have a red flag in the financial tab. Will this impact my award letter or financial aid overall?
Anytime you see a red flag on your account, you definitely want to investigate why it's there. So you can hover your mouse over the red flag and it should tell you, give you an idea of what the document is. Sometimes there will be a link that takes you to a website where you might need to do something. There are various reasons why you might have a red flag. And so if you ever have any questions about that, you can certainly call our office at 970-351-2502. You can come into our office in Carter Hall at 1005 is our room. And we have our SFR email at ofa@unco.edu. But anytime you see the red flag as opposed to the green check mark, you definitely want to be figuring out what it is our office needs.
Thank you, Jill. And here's another follow-up question just for you. This viewer says, I filed the FAFSA with estimations for taxes. Now that I've completed my taxes, should I go back and put in the correct info?
When you do an estimate on your FAFSA, if you go through the process and receive the award letter and then you file your taxes, you certainly are encouraged to go back and correct the FAFSA, but it might not be necessary if you estimated close enough. So again, you might want to check with our office to see if it's something that you really should do. You definitely will receive some notifications that you would want to go back and change your FAFSA answer from will file to completed. But depending on the numbers that you gave to begin with, you may have been very close and everything would be all right.
Thanks, Jill. So say a parent, guardian, or student needs to make some changes on the estimations for their taxes. Will that impact basically their award letter for priority deadline, or do you take it when they first submit it?
The date that the FAFSA is processed is actually the date that we use to base the award letter. So it does not affect when you go back in and make changes. But depending on the items that you change, it could have an impact on your financial aid award letter.
Okay, so Jill, just a quick follow-up. Will changing my tax information make me more likely to be selected for verification? I know James kind of lightly touched upon that, but will changing those estimates make a student or maybe even a parent who's signing for a Parent Plus loan more likely to be selected for verification?
I don't think there's anything that could definitely make you selected for verification. It might happen depending on the answers that you update. The other thing I would encourage if you are going to make changes is that you use the IRS data retrieval tool when you go out and make the changes, because if you are selected for verification, then it seems to make the process a little easier for you, less documentation that you have to provide to our office. And again, if you ever have any questions, you could call our office or send an email, stop by if you're in the vicinity.
Thank you, Jill. This question is going to go over to Stephen. This viewer asks, I finally received my award letter, but I don't understand it. can you tell them what's typically on an award letter or a place that they can go or ask about clarification on what's listed here?
So initially, when you see your award letter on FAFSA or on your URSA account, you can call us at our office number. You can also email us. What's going to be on your award letter is going to be what you fill out on FAFSA. So it's going to be any loans you may qualify for, unsubsidized or subsidized, any grants, and work study. Your scholarships will not show up on your award letter initially. Scholarships will always show up after.
Thank you, Stephen. Hey, James, do you mind answering this? Subsidized, unsubsidized, parent plus, need-based, grants, scholarships, etc. This is a lot of information. What is what?
It is a lot of information. Thanks for asking. Let's start with the scholarships. With the FAFSA, you are really applying for all the different types of aid that we have. So every year, to go back and just retrace a little bit, every year you want to do the FAFSA and you want to do the University Scholarship app. With the FAFSA, the guidelines for that then direct you into scholarship awarding, grant awarding, loans, and work study. We consider you for all of those things when we get your application. Scholarship and grant are what we would call gift aid, and there is nothing for you to repay, nothing for you to do for those. Those are based either on your financial need or your merit profession or your merit skill or something that goes along with the scholarship. Work study is a piece of ability that helps the student work part-time hours while they go to school, anywhere from 12 to 15 hours a week. Just provides support both for the university and for the student to go to school. And then loans are kind of the last thing we look at. It is a predominant part of the package, but it is the last thing that we try to fill with. And loans then are obligations that you have that begin either an interest obligation now while you're in school and certainly repayment after, but you're able to defer almost all of these loans and start repaying after you're done with school.
Thanks for that, James. I know that was a pretty loaded question, but I think you answered it quite well for our viewers. So how about this? You mentioned work study. How does the student know if they're eligible for work study? And I believe that there are two types of work study offered to students.
Yes, good follow-up. For UNC work study, there's a question on the FAFSA that says, are you interested in work study? And if you are, we need you to answer yes to that question, because that's kind of one of the first things we look at. Secondly, most of the work study, we have two pots of that. One pot is a federal work study fund. The other pot is a Colorado work study fund. For the Colorado one, you need to be a Colorado resident. For the federal one, you can be both a resident or a non-resident. You have to have what we call need-based aid in order to get those, which means you have from your FAFSA what's called an expected family contribution, and that is being less than certain things. We automatically then consider you that. You don't have to do anything else other than check the box on the FAFSA that says that you're interested, and we will consider that for you if funds are available. With the Colorado pot, there is also a small piece of that we call no-need work study. So if you have a lot of aid or you have a large EFC, it is possible that we can look at you or consider you for a place of employment and give you non-need-based work study. Both work study amounts work exactly the same. They're just titled differently.
Thanks, James. That's, again, a lot of information, but I think you're hitting it right on the head for all the viewers. Stephen, let's go to you with this question. Are there any workshops or events with financial aid counselors that are coming up that I can attend? I believe we have a few counselors out today at the Lowry campus or Grandview, I believe. But are there any specific that exploring or admitted students can attend?
So for incoming freshmen, during orientation, there's always going to be a financial representative at the event. Feel free to come by our office after your orientation date to sit down with one of our counselors or a peer counselor. Also, there's Discover UNC dates that can be found on our website. Just go to unco.edu /OFA. Also, you can always call in. We just do walk-ins, so you're free to talk to one of our financial aid counselors then.
Thanks, Stephen. Yes, there actually is a Discover UNC Day tomorrow that I will be attending for the Office of Financial Aid along with our outreach coordinator, Fabian Garcia, and Carlette Igulus, I believe this is how you pronounce her last name. She's our senior peer counselor who handles the peer ambassador program. So at events like that, we can definitely answer all your questions. A typical question I tend to field and try to answer my best at Discover UNC Days, I'm going to ask you to answer this one, Jill. It typically sounds like this. Okay, I think I understand my award letter, but I don't want to accept all of the money offered to me. How do I accept a partial or a very specific amount of my loans?
Well, when you log into your URSA account and you go to your award letter, you will be able to view it once you have accepted the terms and conditions, which kind of explain what is expected of you in order to maintain your financial aid. So when you go to the award letter, there's actually a box beside the individual awards. And if you didn't want the full amount, you would want to make sure and enter a dollar amount in the box. Then when you go to the bottom of the page, there is an accept full award or a submit decision. If you're wanting to tell us how much aid you want that's reduced, you need to make sure and select submit decision. Because if you select accept all awards, it's going to go back to the entire amount and let you, and alert our office that you wanted the whole thing. If you do it by mistake, you can certainly email our office at ofa@unco.edu and tell us you made a mistake and that you would actually like to reduce the loan amount. We would need to know a specific amount that you did want to borrow so that we can make the change. On the flip side, you can also, if you request too little and then you change your mind and want to go back and increase the loan amount, you can also contact our office that way. We just need written permission in order to make adjustments to your loan, because you can't go back to the award letter and make a change.
Thank you, Jill. I really appreciate all that insight on that question. James, or should I say Jamming James, this question will be for you. Is there a specific date that I have to accept or decline my award letter?
When we give the award notification out, there is a notice on there that says you have 20 days to respond or your aid will be canceled. The 20 days is kind of a guideline in terms of preference. We would certainly like your decision within 20 days, and that goes back to that pool of funds that we talked about. Many of the funds that we award are limited in nature, meaning once that they're gone or expended in our awarding process, there isn't any more to give out. So we need you to respond to that so that we can lock those funds in for you. If we don't hear from you in the 20 days, we kind of cancel those funds and put them back in the pot and try to allocate those for other students. So we do like a response within 20 days. If you aren't timely like that and there was something else, we need you to really get in touch with us, and we will make every effort possible to try to get you back where you were.
So follow-up to that, James, would be one of the viewers says, my award letter doesn't match the exact amount I need to pay off everything, such as tuition, books, housing, etc. What are my options now?
Ryan, I think the first thing we would say is we want you to get in contact us with somehow. And if you're here for an event like Discover UNC or for an orientation or something, that's when we really want you to sit down and talk with somebody. Those situations are really I shouldn't say that they're rare, but they don't happen very often, because generally we award you, at least with loan, about as much as we can get you that would cover most of those direct expenses. If there are things outstanding from that, if you have incurred a loan limit or there's some piece of aid that you're not eligible for, the only way we can really dissect that and look at something else is to kind of really evaluate your situation. We have a process, that is called professional judgment, that maybe there's something we can look at in your situation that might increase or allow us to look at something else. And the other thing we have is, what we want to do is we could refer you to an alternative or to a private loan. Now that isn't something we like to encourage, but if it's out there, those loans are certainly becoming more and more competitive, consistent with some of the federal programs as the years have gone by. So they aren't nearly as bad of a last resort as they used to be.
Thanks, James. Yes, I've actually witnessed a few PJs or professional judgments, as you said, I believe with Audrina, and then walking through some counseling with external loans with Sergio Rosales, both the very talented counselors in the Office of Financial Aid. But moral of the story is we will find any and every option for you to attend and afford UNC. This next question will be for Stephen. And I've actually witnessed you answer this several times down in the Office of Financial Aid. This viewer says, I've recently received some additional scholarships after my award letter. How do I apply this to my UNC account?
So when you receive an outside scholarship, it's most likely going to be a private, designated as a private scholarship in our office. So once you get notification that you received that scholarship, then if necessary, we can make room in your award letter for it. We will adjust your loan amounts first, and then touch your need-based aid, which consists of those grants. All we need from that private scholarship is information from their donor, and then once we receive their check, we can apply that towards your UNC award letter.
Thanks, Stephen. So with summer session right around the corner, I will ask Jill to answer this one. This viewer basically says, I want to enroll in summer classes. Does my award letter from the fall or spring basically account for these additional credits?
Yeah, that is sometimes confusing. And your FAFSA will actually cover at UNC the fall, spring, and summer terms, because summer is a trailer for our academic year. So if you attend in fall and spring and you take up or you use financial aid then, oftentimes your summer financial aid is limited. In order to receive financial aid in the summer, you need to be registered for at least half-time classes, and then we will look to see if you have any remaining eligibility that did not get used in the fall and spring. It can sometimes be exhausted in the fall and spring because there are, limits that in the federal funds that hinder your ability to receive them in the summer.
No, definitely. It depends on your credit load, and it's a case-by-case basis. Depends on how much you take in the spring and fall. That definitely affect how much you have left over in the summer. So thank you so much for that, Jill. Our next question, let's go back to Stephen. I want to live off campus after my first year at UNC. Will my award letter take that into consideration?
So when you fill out the FAFSA for your second year, you want to live off campus, it's going to ask you if you're going to be an on or off campus student. If you choose off campus, you're not going to be charged room and board on your student bill, obviously, so you're just going to have that tuition and fees amount. However, if you had loans and grants in the previous year or just loans, you'll most likely get a refund amount, which you can apply for rent and utilities. And like I said before, sometimes on campus is a little more expensive, so you can kind of estimate how much off campus is going to be and use your refund check to cover your off campus expenses.
Thank you, Stephen. So Stephen, actually, while I still have you on the hook, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. So now that I have my award letter, my URSA account says I must accept certain terms and conditions. What exactly am I accepting?
So every year you're going to have to accept your terms and conditions on your URSA account. It's something you have to agree before you see any of your financial aid. Your grants are going to be automatically accepted. However, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to pay towards your bill in the fall or spring. You have to read the terms. It's basically saying you have to be a full-time student to receive grants and scholarships, and at least half-time to receive your loans. And you have to maintain a 2.0 and be in good standing with the university. So by agreeing to those terms, you're agreeing to that you're aware of maintaining your aid at UNC.
Thank you, Stephen. So Jill, I'm going to ask you these two questions. What is an MPN or Master Promissory Note?
A Master Promissory Note is something that you have to, or if you're going to obtain a Stafford loan or a Parent Plus loan, you will find yourself getting those red flags we referred to earlier for the first time that you borrow. You'll be asked to go to studentloans.gov and complete a Master Promissory Note, because in order to borrow Stafford funds, you have to sign a promissory note indicating that you understand these are loan funds that you will promise to pay back. So the Master Promissory Note is exactly that, a promise to repay the loan funds.
Here's a follow-up, Jill. I heard a counselor mention entrance counseling at a Destination UNC event. What exactly is this?
The entrance counseling is also something else that you have to do when you decide to borrow the Stafford loan funds. So again, you'll be asked to go to studentloans.gov, complete the entrance counseling. Then the good news about that is you just need to do it one time. You don't have to go back each year to complete the entrance counseling. The MPN that we were talking about a few minutes ago, you also have that valid for 10 years. So it's not something that you have to continually go back and do unless we're talking about a situation with a Parent Plus loan. There may be times where you are asked to go back and do that more than one time.
Thank you, Jill. So Stephen, I'm going to ask you one more question for the evening. How does my award letter apply to my UNC bill? Will I receive a refund check if there are additional funds left over?
So initially, when you accept your award offer, you're usually going to do that before you see your student bill for the semester. Your bill is not going to come out until a couple weeks before school starts. So when you accept your offer, you're accepting aid for the entire year. When your bill comes out, you'll see what your semester breakdown is going to be. Usually disbursement is the week before classes. If your aid is accepted and all your requirements are met. Like Jill said, as long as your entrance counseling and MPN are on file with your office, your loans will disperse. And if you accepted your terms and conditions, grant money will disperse as well. And it'll be applied towards your bill semester by semester basis. And if there is a leftover funds after your bill has been paid, you most likely will get a refund, either through direct deposit, or you may have to go into our accounts receivable office and pick up an actual paper check.
Well, thank you all for answering all those questions. We actually don't have any more questions for the evening, so I just want to personally thank everyone for joining us today, and want to remind you that the Office of Financial Aid is located in Carter 1005. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 p.m. Their phone number is 970-351-2502. Please ask for James. He would be more than welcome to help you. If we didn't answer any of your questions, like I said, please contact OFA or Enrollment Management Student Access. And once again, thank you for joining us, and go Bears.